unordinary is a tragedy. That's why it's fitting that John is the main character. To the viewers who have stuck with John, he may be looked at as someone who has had odds stacked against him from the beginning. Not growing up with his mom, being a cripple, being bullied, having that anger just swell up within him. Then one day his prayers are answered, and he becomes the strongest, and he decides to get back at everyone who ever beat him up. To the people around him, this is a bad thing, but in the ideology of their society and hierarchy, this is how things work. The strong will survive, while the weak are buried. John is the victim of this story, becoming the strongest after being a cripple, blinded by power, then brought down and reformed after going through special lessons. Then instead of helping an individual, they break them instead, to the point of not even wanting to use their talents anymore, because they are demonized for moving the way the hierarchy is embedded into people. John reformed himself for 2 years, and requested to be a cripple upon entry to Wrld. And not only this, but hopes were put in his hands by the headmaster, hoping he would be able to change society. Dealing with the hierarchy once again, he dealt with bullying, but this didn't faze him, because he knew what he signed up for. He gained a new friend for a year, but this didn't last. The king wants to know why he isn't afraid of him, why he moves in such a way of having no fear. They take away his only companion, then push him to his breaking point, until he reveals his true power. All of these things happen, just for them to regret the decision. Unfortunately, you can't change the past. At this point, we watched a character who was once minding their own business, and argued for equality, and the strongest person not always being right, reverting back to their old ways, due to people around them. But I have a question. Did John really revert back to his old self? The person who would attack anyone and everyone? Or did he attack those who struck first, and those who challenged him? Slowly we see John change, as we see his inner thoughts of changing himself for the better, wanting to show mercy to those around him. But the people around him didn't care. They attacked those who were perceived to be weaker than themselves to feel empowered. The people we see now, who cower, were the same ones in the halls starting the fights. In the past few months, we've seen John retake the hierarchy, defending his reasons with his past and how he changed, but people still dragged him back into the hierarchy. To not only a lot of viewers, but story characters as well, John is looked at as going overboard. Just like John is dealing with his pain, so are the characters. That's why I don't try to dismiss what they've gone through, but they do. John went through this his whole life, but they've went through it barely a fraction of the time, and they are trying to dismiss what he went through. This is why I say John is misunderstood. John has trust issues. He has PTSD. He has no one else he can rely on. I'm not making excuses, but I'm instead looking at it from his point of view. You see throughout the story multiple times. John asks, why does this always happen? To a lot of us, we'd be quick to blame him, but we forget that actions have consequences. A lot of us cheered when John would finally beat up his oppressors. Now you boo because it doesn't look like he's the victim anymore. In reality, he is the real victim. When you put someone in the hood, they move a certain way, they witness things, and go through things. Same thing with veterans. In war, even after you leave, those experiences don't go away. Serafina and the other royals, they've had an eye-opener due to John, that there is something wrong, and we need to change this. Then, they want to ask why he's doing this. Just because you say you're sorry and try to change, doesn't mean that person will forgive you right away, nor forget what you did. Actions have consequences, and now it's time to pay up. I'm not dismissing what they've gone through, but they don't know the real pain when they haven't gone through it long enough. Going through something your whole life versus a few weeks, in Sarah's case, barely a few months. I don't think what they're going through is tragic. I just believe what they're going through is the way the Wrld thinks is natural. And now they want to complain without completely experiencing the true pain to understand. You don't have to believe that John is the victim, but if you were to put yourself in his shoes, would you be able to get over it so easily? Feelings of not having someone to trust and rely on, feelings like everyone is out to get you, dealing with the anger and hate you feel toward and from society when they are the reason you're shaped like this. It's hard to look at the story and tell who the real victims are and who's really getting what they deserve.